Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live session on the EU AI Act. And thanks for joining this 30-minute session on a key regulation shaping how Europe will work with artificial intelligence. The EU AI Act is not just about rules, it's about how we can build trustworthy and competitive AI systems. Many companies still see it and think that it's a restriction, but in fact, it's a framework that opens doors for innovation, funding, and safe adoption. Today, we will cover three questions: who is affected, what will change, and where the opportunities lie, from AI sandboxes to upcoming national guidelines and the code of practice for generative AI. You will also learn how to start early, avoid penalties, and turn compliance into a strategic advantage. And at the end of this session, you will have a clear understanding of how to make the EU AI Act as a part of your AI strategy, not just a legal checkbox. So stay tuned, take notes, and let's get started with our trainer, Daniel.
Hi, and thanks a lot for the introduction. Looking forward to this presentation. Thank you. To this presentation of the UAI Act. We already said we had one webinar on the AI Act before summer, where we focused on the regulations and the obligations of companies, and also I think a lot of the public discussion these days is on these regulations. And I know there is another thing from the EU that I have to comply to, and that's why today I want to focus a bit on the opportunities that the organization actually have if they want to adopt AI based on the UAI Act. And before we start with that, let me say a few words about myself. Why am I talking about the UAI Act? I'm not a lawyer. I'm actually business informatic. My background is in business informatics, let's say, for the last 7+ years. Even now, I would say I helped organizations efficiently use AI in an industrial context using digital twins. And I did this, or these days I'm doing this as a trainer and consultant. Also offering trainings with Technovi. And for since a few weeks, I'm also affiliated with the AI Factory Austria, which I'll talk about in a second. Here you can see logos of some companies that I've been working together with. Maybe you know some of them, but let's jump right into the topic of today, the topic of artificial intelligence. And when I hear artificial intelligence, actually the first time I was faced with this topic was, well, the picture you can see here, Knight Rider, or actually the kit, the car of Knight Rider, which was my first AI experience. So a car that could talk and drive itself, and drive autonomously, talk to the driver and solve crimes. So very, very cool thing. At least myself, I liked it. I watched it a lot. Of course, there are also other depictions of AI in movies like iRobot, Terminator on 1984, where AI is rather this big bad evil that tries to take over humanity. Yeah, both sides are possible. And actually, if you ask people, there are surveys, at least in Austria, if you ask people, it seems that they rather tend to this right side about their opinion of AI. So their opinion is rather on this, well, it's probably, let's be a bit careful. They're rather hesitant because, well, we're not sure whether they might take over the world as they learned in Terminator, in comparison to Knight Rider, where it actually solves crimes. So how can we make sure that people actually believe in the fact that, I mean, both of these scenarios are still kind of unrealistic, but we want to show or give people a trust that, well, AI will not take over the world. And the approach of the European Union here is, how can we put a trust label on AI? How can we use this worldwide reputation that we have as European Union and use it within the context of AI? When I talk about worldwide reputation, what I mean, if we use this devil's quadrangle, devil's triangle, that is commonly known in project management, we have cost, speed, and quality. Then we have Asian countries usually focusing on cost. So how can we provide cost-effective solutions, in contrast to North America that focus on speed. So we talk about AI, it's about how can we put a lot of money into having the best AI models first. That's why tools like ChatGPT came from the US. And if you ask people around the world what the European Union is known for, it's usually quality. So having the highest quality solutions and having the highest quality solutions. And the idea behind, or in my opinion, the main point of the AI Act should be, how can we ensure this quality and take our stand in the worldwide AI market? So that's what the EU AI Act, in my opinion, is for. Some key facts about the AI Act. You can see on this timeline, well, it already went into force last year, actually. So right now we're in the transition period. So you actually have to conform to a lot of rules if you apply AI. And if you don't if you don't conform to these rules, you have to pay a fee of, you can see down here, I think the most important point is up to 50 million euros. So you don't provide wrong information, you don't use banned AI, but still, if you don't conform to all the rules, you have to pay up to 50 million euros. But we're still in the transition period, so there are no penalties being paid yet for most of the regulations. Actually, one regulation, the AI literacy obligation and the banning of forbidden AI, is already also effective. So if you're using AI and you cannot show that you have a proper AI literacy, so you have done training regarding some aspects of AI, you can already pay money. In theory, in practice, in many companies, there are no regulatory bodies yet that actually execute these rules, but they will be there soon. So if you look a bit on the further timing of the AI Act, you can also see, well, we have over the summer, guidelines for general purpose AI and rules for general purpose AI have been released. And next year, I think the most important deadline is August next year, where almost all parts of the AI Act will go into force, meaning from that point, you will also have to, there are a lot of regulations. If you don't comply to them, you have to pay fines. And just some further aspects that are more difficult to implement, you still have 2 years time for that. And that's regulatory side, but also what you can see here, for example, we have it starting August next year. There are also national AI labs coming into place. Let's talk about this a bit. It's called Sandboxes for AI Adoption. Down here, you have a link here where you can see all the current state of these sandboxes for all the member states of the European Union. But the main idea is that there is a lot of funding that support you in not just starting your AI journey, but throughout your AI journey. So I already said I'm affiliated with the AI Factory in Austria, so I can talk about their services a bit, but there are also many other AI factories and sandboxes throughout the European Union. And the idea here is, for example, for the AI Factory Austria that you can see here, that you have trainings. So you get proper training on how to use AI, what you have to consider. You don't get legal consulting, but you get help with all aspects regarding trustworthy AI. So how can I make sure that my AI is trustworthy in contrast to other AIs that are out there from non-European countries? And I think the most interesting part is you get access to high performance computing. So a lot of AI use cases require a lot of computing resources. And for that, you have high performance computing, you have a European high performance computing network. And through the AI factories, you get access to this network. but you also get, of course, some onboarding on how to use an AI computer, a high performance computer, or you can get consulting, incubation services to, again, get you started, but also support you throughout the whole AI journey. And again, it's all funded, so you don't have to pay for that. Of course, at some point, the funding ends. So if you want to have something running in operation, you have to pay for that. But the journey from idea to the first proof of concept is supported by this European Union. So that's one of the main big advantages, I would say. And the second big advantage, in my opinion, is the code of practice for general purpose AI providers. What does it mean? A general purpose AI are things like ChatGPT, so tools that can be used for many different use cases. It's a very non-legal term, but in the end it comes down to this. And the idea of the AI Act that there are certain rules that these general purpose AI providers have to fulfill in order to offer the services or in order to offer their AI tools within the European Union. On the other side, that means if general purpose AI is used in the European Union, there's a certain level of quality standard with that. And the code of practice gives some practical guidance on how to do this, how to satisfy this rule, or how to fulfill these rules. And there are three main points. The first, and I think most important one, is transparency. So if this quality standard of general purpose AI solutions that are used within the European Union means that if I use such a solution in the EU, I have some information on the data that was used during training. So I can check, or I can validate to some extent, is there bias in the data? There's also a description available on which measures have been taken to avoid such bias, how much data was used actually, and also quite interesting, some data should even be available, and also quite interesting, how much energy was used, because energy is, I think, the main aspect of product carbon emissions during training of AI models. So if you provide a general purpose AI solution within the European Union, you have to somehow make data available on the energy that was consumed. So we don't just have to rely on information that some EO released in some interview that we cannot validate. There must be the data actually made available. This is with respect to transparency. With respect to copyright, well, in the end, it comes down to you have to make sure that you avoid the use of any copyrighted material during getting training data. So you cannot use training data if you do not have the copyright. That's a very, very important point. That's if you read the news in most US-based AI solutions, they just ignore copyright. So if you use AI within the European Union, these are the things you have to comply to, well, to be allowed to do to use it. And also there are some regulations regarding the safety and security of these AI solutions. Especially security, I think, is a very important aspect. If we consider or if you think about many people actually giving their personal data or sensitive data to AI systems, it makes sense that measures should be taken so that they cannot be hacked. Now, these are, I think, the main 2 points. So these guidelines and the sandboxes for AI adoptions are one of the 2 main points that actually help you throughout your AI journey. Now, on the other side, of course, you also have to think about, as an organization, what is it that you have to contribute in order to get these this level of quality within the European Union. And for that, let's first check, are you actually affected by the EU AI Act as an organization? So of course, as an organization who wants to do AI, you can use the services provided and this quality level, but you also need to make sure that you comply to the services, to this quality level. And on one side, if you are using AI in your internal processes, so if you have just one of your employees has a ChatGPT license, access to ChatGPT, generated an email once, then yes, you are considered a deployer of AI. So you are using AI within your internal processes. And of course, if you're using AI components as part of your products, which you sell, even if you sell them for free, so if you put products on the market and they have an AI component, then you are considered a provider of AI. So in both cases, different regulations of the AI Act are relevant for you. And of course, if you're using generative AI, then the GPI regulations we talked about are also relevant for you. But let's talk about one aspect that, in my opinion, is very, very good and helpful for the European Union and for companies. And it's relevant for both providers and deployers of AI systems. And that's the AI literacy obligation. I copy pasted the text from the EU AI Act here. You don't have to read it. The main point about it is that if you are using AI, regardless of whether you provide or a deployer, you have to ensure a certain level of AI literacy in your staff. So any person in your organization using AI, or if you provide AI solutions, provider or deployer, you have to train your people properly with respect to AI. That means that considers the technical knowledge, also the experience they have. So it's also the education. So it's not enough if you finished a study program 20 years ago that has something to do with informatics. There is a lot of ongoing news, obviously, around AI. So it must be recent education, experience, and also the context in which you're using AI. So if you're using AI in industry, then you need to be trained on usage of AI in industry on top of these more general dimensions of AI knowledge. So in general, this is a very generic regulation, I would say, but you have to train your people, yes. So you have to show something if a regulatory body checks your organization, you have to show for those people who use AI, or if you deploy a provider, let's put it like that your people are properly trained. A bit more specific guidelines that the EU gives is on the one side, on the left here, you can see 3 dimensions of AI knowledge. So these are considered the main pillars, basic pillars of AI. So on top of domain specific AI use, you have technical knowledge, the knowledge on potentials and risks of AI, and the basic legal and ethical understanding. So these are the 3 dimensions that all of your employees should have considered to some extent or have been trained on to some extent, and you have to show regulatory bodies that they have been trained. And on the other side, one thing that the EU also mentioned is that this AI literacy should be based on standards, it's very helpful if it's based on standards. And there are already some standards out there with respect to AI. Not a lot of them, but one is the AI manager. It's a certified AI manager. It's it's a training. It's based on a training that's provided by organizations like Technovi, and afterwards you get a certification or from ISO, or no, it's a certification process that's certified by ISO. You get a certificate after passing a test, doing a test, let's say, and the presentation and a proper training. And yeah, you get it you get a certificate on the one side. There's also the ISO-QB software architecture for AI systems standard, let's say, from the ISO-QB standards, and there is the ISO 42001 standard that rather considers your organization itself. So it's not for individual people. The certified AI manager and the ISO-QB trainings are for individual people. The ISO certification is for organizations. So AI literacy is the one main pillar, what you have to do as an organization on top of the things that the opportunities that are provided. The second point is the obligatory risk classification of AI providers. So if you are a provider of AI solutions, then you have to perform a risk classification of your system, of your AI-based product, let's put it like that. So depending on the level of risk associated with the product, different regulations apply or different measures have to be taken. There are low-risk AI applications, high-risk AI application. So low risk, only basic requirements. For high-risk AI applications, that where, let's say, lives are at stake or money is at stake, so banks are considered high risk, or autonomously driving cars, for example, or surgeons or automated surgeons, surgeries. Here, higher obligations are relevant for both providers and deployers. And then we have prohibited AI practices that has to do a lot with social scoring. So things that are, I would say, common practice, for example, in China. The idea of the European Union is that this is prohibited in the European Union. And if organizations don't still use it, they have to even pay up to 35 million euros of penalties. And these are the three risk levels: low risk, high risk, prohibited. And then we have general purpose AI applications where further rules apply. Here it says published soon. Well, they are published already, and we talked about them a bit today. Let's dig a bit into these high-risk AI applications a bit, because low-risk AI applications, we have to fulfill some rules, but also only as a provider. For the high-risk AI applications, I think they are highly relevant because measures have to be taken by both providers and deployers. For the providers, you have to have a risk management system. So many rules apply. I think the most interesting ones are you have to have a risk and quality management system in place. You have to provide technical documentation, transparency, again, similar to the general purpose AI solutions. And there always has to be human oversight. And this human oversight by the providers. So someone checking, always making decision as far as last resort, if, for example, lives are at stake, but also checking is everything working as it should be. And as a deployer, the people actually using the AI systems need to have appropriate training. So let's use surgeries. If the surgeon is using some AI assisted tool, they need to know it's not enough that they are trained doctors. They need to have appropriate training for using this specific AI-based tool. And there always has to be human oversight. So not just on the provider side, also the actual doctor performing the surgery, they have to always be there and make decisions as last resort. Also, there must be monitoring in place. So check whether the AI-based system is working as it's expected to be, logging to reproduce if there is an issue, at which point it happened, and also information to the workforce and users. So the doctor needs to know whether they're actually using an AI-based surgery system. So what we talked about in this webinar for now is we have the EU/AI Act. In my opinion, it's a good thing. There are a lot of opportunities that lie in this EU/AI Act. And because, well, there is, in the end, it's money, there is a lot of funding, but also we can start establish a certain level of quality of AI-based system in the European Union in comparison to other countries around the world. And we also talked about what are specific measures that you have to take now, actually. So AI literacy for both providers and deployers is already in effect. So you might have to pay fines soon if you don't comply to this. And also the AI-based risk classification, the measures that have to be taken based on this classification, they need to be implemented, or most of them need to be implemented by next year. So it makes sense to start now. Some practical advice on this is, well, the AI Act is an opportunity for you to strategically integrate AI in your organization. So it's not just use AI is more than just a ChatGPT license. Let's put it like that. It's not enough to just give your employees access to ChatGPT. First of all, because there's more than ChatGPT, and especially European solutions that usually outperform ChatGPT when it comes to security and data governance. And also you need to have, or the EU AI Act provides you with the proper tools and quality standards to strategically integrate AI. So not just people generating emails, but actually generating a lot of value within your organization. What does this mean in, well, a bit more specific terms? Well, use funded resources for your AI journey from the beginning. In Austria, you have this email address you can just drop a message by, but there is also this overview of entities and sandboxes from different member countries. Get proper training to get your organization on the necessary level to actually use AI in a proper way, and also plan measures for compliance. So, well, you have to comply to the EU AI Act in the end, otherwise you have to pay fines. There are also automated tools. I've put 2 links here that help you along the way. But of course, it's not enough. They are general purpose tools to get some first classification, or this Piper One. They're also very good at generating reports, for example. But in the end, it's not enough, of course, because it always depends on your unique business context. And for example, these tools can tell you you have to train the people in your organization because of the AI literacy obligation. But then, of course, the actual training can't be automated. You still have to put your people into the trainings. And of course, that's what also Technovie is here for, to support you along this way. We're happy to have 2 specific AI-based trainings in the context of the EU AI Act, yes, but of course it focuses a lot of the practical aspects of AI. So how can I strategically integrate AI into my organization, but also how can I make AI projects successful? What is the team I need? And we will go through a lot of specific AI use cases. So what are the use cases that actually help me gain value in my business context? We have 2 options here. The 2-day workshop, well, it covers all the aspects, these dimensions we said, the technical, legal, ethical, AI literacy, but also you will practice many methods, specific methods to successfully manage AI projects. And we will, well, in the end, it's a lot about practice. So applying all the things we do to specific AI use cases, and also use cases from your specific, your unique, let's say, business context. And in the 4-day option of this workshop, we'll cover everything from the 2-day option and many more hands-on examples. We'll also focus a bit more on the strategic aspect, or even more on how can we integrate AI in our organization and ensure this, let's say, top-down compliance, in addition to the bottom-up use cases and business value that we generate. And we're very happy to also allow you the certification of the AI manager. So the 4-day workshop is the basis for this AI manager certificate from ISO. But yeah, with that being said, let's wrap up for today. I'm looking forward to your questions and comments, to feedback, also other webinars that webinar topics that you're interested in. Just let us know via LinkedIn.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for the valuable information. And thank you, everyone, for watching us. And as you said before, please feel free to comment what is on your mind. Maybe we can discuss a bit more about the EU AI Act under this webinar video. You can write your comments. And thank you so much. See you soon.
Thank you.